The views and opinions expressed by the participants on this show are not necessarily those of Stewart Information Services Corporation, Stewart Title, or Stewart Insurance. Before you make any investment, you should seek the advice of your investment advisor or attorney.
Whether you're a real estate broker, realtor, homeowner, buyer, or seller, everything matters when it comes to real estate. This is Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. Stewart Title's Bill Knapik and guests open the door to what really matters in owning, buying, and selling real estate. And now, Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title, brought to you by Stewart Insurance. Here to inform, entertain, and inspire, Bill Knapik.
Welcome to the show. It is Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. I am your host, Bill Knapik. Thank you for joining us. Once again here, as we embark on a real estate adventure, we have super guests all along the way. A lot of information here today, and a lot of great people are joining us. As always, I remind you to go to stewart.com/radio. That's where you can see and hear the show by simply going to stewart.com/radio. Also, at stewart.com/radio, you can find the complete show archive, where you can see all the shows and hear them too. So let's get down to business as we welcome Jay Carter Breed. His company is New Trust Real Estate. Carter, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bill. Great to be here. Good to see you again. It's been a little while.
Well, when I think of real estate professionals that excel in what they do, that have long-standing reputations in our industry and in certain parts of Houston, Jay Carter Breed comes to mind always.
Well, you're very kind. This is my 31st year, so I'm starting to get the hang of it. And I even remember doing a transaction with you a long time ago.
Absolutely. And when I think about how many years that was, I don't remember, but it's, I guess, over 16, 18 years, give or take.
Yeah, something like that.
And what's interesting, and maybe an underlying theme in real estate in general, not always, the disclaimer is, but real estate goes up usually over time.
Yeah, I heard somebody say a long time ago, an acclaimed appraiser said that if you buy a house zoned in Memorial, you almost can't go wrong.
And that's right, and good place to put the money. Of course, we hear when we speak about money, we know the interest rates are going up. We also know there's cash buyers out there, especially now, I would think. So let's tell people, first of all, Carter, your company is called New Trust Real Estate. Let's tell people about the company.
Sure, thanks. I started out at RE/MAX for many years and owned a couple of franchises, and some time went by, and we really felt like we needed to kind of be a boutique agency. And probably about 8 years or so, we started Jay Carter Breed Properties, and then most recently, in the last year, we needed more technology. We needed more back end help, so we put a suite of services together with Side, and we came up with a New Trust Real Estate, really to help those kind of behind me, and also to help me with all the technology needs that we need. And so we're now rolling out New Trust. We've been operating on that name now for quite a number of months now, and we're just getting the good news out there, so to speak.
And as far as the area, geographically speaking, that you're serving, certainly you can go anywhere you want. But as far as where you've been, let's say the last 20 or so transactions, where have you found yourself geographically mostly?
Because I've been in the business for a while, a great deal of my business is, I call it the triangle, from basically downtown or River Oaks, triangling out 290, and going out 59 towards Sugar Land. And but in the center of that is the Memorial Spring Branch area. I grew up there, I live there, and because of that, that's where the majority of our business is. But we do a lot out in Katy as well.
Let's give people an idea as far as the marketplace right now, what you're seeing in the field as we're here at the end of the year. We're already talking about things going on in December and so forth, and as we look ahead to 2024.
Well, I'll tell you that in our market out in the Memorial and the West Memorial area and Spring Branch, it's still a pretty good market for sellers. We're in some cases seeing multiple offers still. It has absolutely slowed down. I think that's personally, my thought is that it's due to interest rates, probably a little bit of fear in the market, fear of wars that are going on, and what's the future hold with an election year next year. I think that interest rates, from what I hear, and I'm no pundit by any means, but my guess is we're going to see these rates at least for probably a little longer into next year, well into next year. Maybe won't see relief until 25. But I think in our market we'll continue to see good sales, and I don't know that we'll see multiple offers like we have, but we'll see good sales.
Well, when you mentioned Memorial being a good area for an investment or to buy a home, and then when we sell it, we're going to make a few dollars. But also tell us about Spring Branch. For a while, I was hearing a lot about what we call Spring Branch, but we'll call it, and correct me if I'm wrong, that's pretty much Memorial, the Marist side of I-10. It's north of the Memorial area.
Sure.
On I-10 and say what, Gessner area, so to speak?
Yeah, so, it's all the Spring Branch Independent School District, and the Memorial area is basically from the Bayou on the south boundary, Buffalo Bayou on the south boundary, and I-10 on the north boundary, and it runs from 610 all the way out to Highway 6. That's Memorial, and it is part of the Spring Branch Independent School District. The Spring Branch area is basically north of I-10, and it goes up to about Clay Road, curves around, and it runs basically from 610 out to approximately Kirkwood.
It, too, is very popular, right?
It is very popular, and prices have gone up extraordinarily well over there. Just, I've been amazed. There's been a number of houses. I actually bought a house over in one neighborhood about, it's now, time's getting away from me, 10 years, but I paid $95,000 for that house, and today I'd tell you it's probably worth about $5.
It's kind of like the one that I bought from you, but I didn't enjoy that kind of gain because I sold it too soon. But the point is, it was one of those areas that seemed to be really accelerating, and still probably is doing so. Give us an idea as we are thinking about people that come from outside. We talk about it all the time. They come from other states. Are you seeing that with New Trust Real Estate, where people are calling you up and saying, "Hey, Carter, I'm from Minnesota, Florida, or wherever,
California"?
I didn't want to say it, but you did. But people call you up and say, "Hey, I want to come to Texas," right?
Yeah, absolutely. Still we're a red state, and we're a very business friendly state, and people and real estate friendly as well. And our prices are still pretty darn good. So we did good. We get a good bit of action over many states. I think I don't know the exact statistics, but Florida and Texas are in the top couple all the time. You
mentioned California. I'm thinking about when I read, especially the Wall Street Journal, I'll see the home prices there, and I'm talking about they are mansions and great locations, oceanfront or so forth. Some of them are $43 million, $23, even $100 million. You see that. When we look at the luxury market in the area that you're serving, let's say in the Memorial area, if someone has a lot of money to spend, what are some of the higher priced listings that are around? What's the numbers of the listings that are there in that beautiful Memorial area?
It's gone up quite a bit in the last maybe 5 years or so. I think now you'll see the very high end is probably from $4 million to $9 million. There are some. I think there's one on the market very close in Memorial, and it's a big honker of a house. And I don't have it on the market, but I want to say it's $25 million. But,
25.
$25 million.
Is there an ocean anywhere? Did they build an ocean there?
No, but it's big. I think it's approximately 20. I think it's 29,000 square foot house. And you know what we say? We say that everybody, you need about 2,000 or 3,000 square foot per person. Okay. That's just a good round number to use.
We want to have some elbow room there. But what I'm thinking of is if someone's in California and they sell a $30 million home and they want to come to Texas.
Come on to Memorial. Absolutely.
Call J. Carter Breed.
J. Carter Breed.
He's right there for you. Well, what are some of the things? Let's talk about your longevity. Again, you've built a super reputation all around Houston, but 31 years of service. What are some of the things that might come, the first things that come to your mind here, 2023, 2024, almost, as far as big changes and the way that you've changed or adapted to the market as it is now versus 20, 30 years ago?
I think probably the biggest change I've seen is technology. Social media has changed the way we need to get our business out there to people, and we're using it all the time, or we're trying to use it all the time. And that was probably one of my stumbling blocks, because it's not my favorite thing to do, but I'm having to grab hold of it and do it. That's a big one. We've been very, very blessed here, as you well know, to have HAR, and HAR has done a great job in promoting real estate and competition here in Houston, and it's made it very good for the consumer.
Before we close this segment, Carter, what else do you want people to know?
Call me for all your real estate needs.
The number is?
J. Carter Breed. And that phone number is 713-482-2222 is our office. And you can call me direct at 713-826-4884. 713-826-4884.
And Carter, what's the website?
It's newtrustrE.com.
newtrustrE.com. J. Carter Breed. Thank you, Carter.
Good to see you, Bill. Thank you.
Let's welcome Andy Flack. His company is Homeland Properties. Andy, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bill.
Well, it's great to see you. One of the things where I think people are going to be very excited to hear your niche in real estate. Your company is Homeland Properties. Let's tell people about your company and where it is.
Well, Homeland Properties was started in 1990 by myself and my real estate partner, John Paul Lampson. We are based out of Huntsville, Texas, although we cover about 40 counties in East Texas on a regular basis.
And for those that are listening outside of Houston, just look north of the city. You'll find about how many miles, let's say, from the center of town is Huntsville?
70 miles north of Houston.
So it's 70 miles north of Houston, and Andy's going to tell us about, we can consider that there's more land out there. And correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, Andy, but for those that might be looking for a little more elbow room, acreage, farm and ranch, there are some things that you have that you're serving buyers and sellers with your company.
We do. We have about 350 offerings right now across probably 25 counties actively right now. We cover about 40. We've sold land in upwards of 60 counties in Texas. So that's a revolving type inventory. It fluctuates, but it usually stays somewhere around 350 or 370 offerings. We've been as high as over 500 back in May of 21.
And as far as your average sale, we were talking a little bit before the show here, but one of the things you do that I think that's different than a lot of realtors, and because of your area and experience, you have 40 years of real estate experience, right?
Correct.
So 40 years ago, you got your license thereabouts.
40 years next year. Yeah.
How about that? So in the meantime, one of the things you told me is that most of your business is, 90% is land sales?
About 90% of our business is land sales. We are a full-service company, but the bulk of what we do is land sales.
You know what I'm thinking? If I need land, I might want to call Andy.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
So when you sell the land, let's tell people, because first of all, I'm thinking, and maybe others are too, how much land is available? Because right now, I know not just in Texas, people come to Texas for land, but they go to other states, Wyoming and other, Montana and so forth. But when they want to have a place with some elbow room and to get away, to have a spot, they look for land, and that's people like that are calling you, correct?
Every day. Yes, sir.
How do people find you from other states, let's say?
Well, of course, we're all over the internet. We've homelandproperties.com, and then we're published on about 15 paid MLS sites that filter out to hundreds and thousands of others globally. So it's all internet and computer driven nowadays. That's how they find us.
And when people find you, and what is it that they say? I mean, I'm imagining that they might say, hey, look, I live in wherever,
Right.
and I'm looking for some land maybe to build something and then have lots of room. Is that how it goes? Or
Sure.
what are they asking for you?
People have parameters on what they're looking for, whether the size or budget parameter, or do they want something wooded or open pasture or rolling hills. I mean, it's just we try to, figure out what they want, kind of a wish list, if you will, and then we try to fit something to their desires or their needs or wants, and that's what we do.
I'm imagining when they buy land, then of course later they're going to put some buildings on it and things like that. And again, depending, they could want to put animals on it, and tell people about the trees as far as the agricultural exemptions, because I don't know much about farm and ranch, but I do know I had some friends that had acreage, and they're like, oh yeah, well we have animals, and that gives us some kind of a advantage exemption. But you talked about trees too.
Well, the short story on ag exemptions is that you get a benefit or break if you qualify, if your land qualifies for either ag and or under the ag exemption. There's also a timber exemption, but there's exemptions for hay, there's exemptions for bees, there's many different exemptions, but timber is probably the largest in East Texas. And so there's a break on your property taxes, everything. So it runs about $5 per acre per year on the average. Some counties are a little higher, some are a little lower, but that's kind of the average.
So that means if I want to put trees or plant trees, is it a specific type of tree or any kind of tree?
No, you just have to have a management plan drawn up by a forester that will help you apply for that. And it's pretty common to get approved with any type of tree, as long as you're doing it for an agricultural purpose.
When you talk to people, again, that reach out to you from out of the state of Texas or even out of our general Houston area, where are they coming from mostly?
Well, as I mentioned before, there's about 1,200 people a day moving into Texas, and they're coming from all over. I don't know that we really see them. I'm sure more from the West Coast, some from Mid-America, some from the East Coast as well. But most of our clients are going to come out of the metropolitan areas in Houston, but they're probably filtering here and then coming out to our regions.
So I'm going to mention some areas, and especially for those that are outside of the Houston area that may not know this, but if you look at Houston, you go north. On the west side, you have Huntsville, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, New Waverly over there. And as you move east, there's places like Cold Spring, Texas, Lake Livingston, on Alaska, right? Which ones are the most popular when they reach out to you, Andy?
Well,
if any,
really, they're all the above are popular for that region. And that's about a 1 hour diameter circle between 59 and I-45, and they are all very popular. Of course, Lake Livingston being on both sides of that area, or I'd say right in the middle of those areas, is very attractive to the people out of Houston that want to get out for the weekend, because it's about an hour drive to any of those areas. So we get a lot of traffic.
And what about now? I'm just kind of forgot about Lake Conroe, but Lake Conroe's on the west. What about that area?
Well, it is popular, but Lake Conroe's gotten kind of busy with development, and so getting 2 to 5 acres around Lake Conroe is a lot more difficult and a lot more expensive than it used to be. So they're moving further north. Developers are moving further north and developing that product, and 2 to 5 acre properties, and so the sprawl is just moving a little bit further north.
And I'm sure it varies by the month and so forth, but let's just take if you think of the last 20 transactions or so, what area or what is the amount of acreage that you've been selling on average, say, in the last month or two?
Well, in the last month or two, it's let me generalize that and say in the last year or two, but I would say an average tract would be probably 30 to 50 acres. And we sell a lot of 10s and 20s, but we sell a lot of tracts bigger than that too. I was looking at this morning, and we've got a 480, we've got a couple of 70s, we've got a 14, all under contract right now. So it does vary quite a bit, but I would say the average between 30 and 50.
So then a sale of, say, 50 acres, that's not unusual.
No, sir.
So you're like the Costco of real estate, huh? Buy in bulk.
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
I just now thought of it. I don't know if, but that's interesting. I mean, you might as well, if you're going to buy land, buy a lot, right?
Well, that's true. It's economy of scale. You can buy more the further out you are.
And then what about if we start getting into 7,500 acre plus? How common is that in your world?
Well, it's pretty common. We sell that size very often.
So the good news is you have inventory.
We do have inventory. We have about 350 land offerings right now. So we work for some of the largest timberland owners in East Texas, the largest landowners in East Texas, and so they filter their inventory to us to sell it for them.
As far as, if again, taking the last year, right, in the world of this kind of acreage and plots, amount of land that you're selling, is it seasonal? I mean, because like with residential, seasonal. We worry about kids going to school and this and that, but what's it like?
Well, certainly the weather and the seasons affect our activity, but a lot of folks buy during the wintertime. That's the best time to look at land because that's when it's going to look its worst. And so
I thought you were going to say because it's cooler, but yeah,
that's when it's going to look the worst. So we always encourage people, look during the wintertime. If you want to see the worst it's going to look, that's when it's going to look the worst. But I
just thought of 12 jokes, but I'm not going to say any of them. So in the meantime, that's a good way. That's awesome. But it's also a cooler time of year.
Right.
Does it have anything to do with people wanting to spend money by the end of the year?
Sometimes it does. Sometimes people have more time with, the holidays coming up, so they get out more Thanksgiving, Christmas time, New Year's.
That's fascinating. Give us an idea. Now, again, we said average about 90% of your business is land.
Correct.
You need some land, call Andy, especially in the north part of Texas, right? Or north part of Houston.
Anything east of 45, I-45.
Let's go to the 10% that's, I'm assuming, has homes on it, residential. Give us what that complexion looks like. What happens there as far as your average sales?
Well, we do residential and commercial as well, income properties as well in the Huntsville, Conroe areas, and there's a certain, I guess, a group of our agents that will do both the land and do some commercial and residential.
So if someone wants to, say, buy a home that's already on land that's make it 1,500, 2,500 square feet, and they say, hey, Andy, I want to buy a home like that. I want a little elbow room,
yes,
acre,
sir.
2 acres. You got some of that?
Yes, sir, we do.
You can call Andy right there, right?
That's correct.
Before we close the segment, Andy Flack with Homeland Properties. What else do you want people to know, Andy?
Well, I just think know that Homeland Properties is we cover all the bases, and we're there to help you if you're interested in coming to East Texas.
Buy some land.
Buy some land.
Andy, how can people reach you?
936-295-2500 or homelandproperties.com. You can also go to homelandland.com.
The number again is
936-295-2500.
Thank you so much, Andy Flack.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate you having me.
As we continue, let's talk to Chris Stelly. He is with New Trust Real Estate. Chris, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you for having us today. I appreciate it.
The first question, you know J. Carter Breed, don't you?
A little bit.
How about that guy? So in the meantime, let's tell people, I understand you were one of the co-founders. You and Carter put the company together, and let's tell people a little bit about that.
Yes, sir. Yeah, no, I am one of the co-founders. We were just kind of sitting around one day. He had J. Carter Breed Properties, and I just really felt we needed extra social media push and some extra tools to help us do our business and provide the best service for clients. So we kind of decided just to go in this direction. It's been successful so far.
And also, let's remind people, as far as geographically, again, you can go all over, but where you spend or have spent most of your time lately geographically?
Geographically, my business has been on the west side of Houston, all the way out to Katy. I actually live in Jordan Ranch, so been dabbling in Katy a lot more, but the west side of Houston.
As far as what's happening in Katy, I know in my own neighborhood there's not a lot of homes for sale, and I'm in an established older area. But what's happening in Katy? Are they selling quickly right now, or
they're staying on the market a little longer? And it's interesting. I think when COVID happened, a lot of people went out away from the city. It's interesting because a lot of those people that bought in my neighborhood and out in Katy and Fulshear, there's been a lot more houses coming on the market and people wanting to move back in because that drive that they didn't have to make, now they have to drive into the office. It's getting a little long, right? So we've seen some houses go on the market and they're just kind of sitting around, prices decreasing. So,
Well, then, so that's Katy, but if we go further west, using those same thoughts, here you have Fulshear, right? Mm-hmm. So what's happening in Fulshear?
So Fulshear's, I guess it would be kind of the same thing. Some people that want some bigger lots, bigger than 5,000, 7,000 square foot lots, they want some bigger lots. They'll go down to Fulshear, Weston Lakes kind of deal. They want the golf course close to them. So I'm kind of seeing the same thing, but it's developing just insane amount.
So when you, in your last work and transactions and so forth, have you been helping more buyers or sellers?
I've been helping more buyers primarily. I'm trying to transition my business to more sellers business because I feel I can provide a really good service. But I do like helping buyers. I like the challenge of finding the stuff finding their house and just the whole process for the buying.
As far as the buyers, let's take the buyers, for example. How many, if any, are cash buyers these days that you're seeing?
Maybe 1 in 5. Currently, about maybe 1 in 5 are cash buyers.
And then the others that are getting loans and so forth, how much are they apprehensive with the interest rate? And they just say, hey, man, I'm going to just go ahead and go forth. But do you really see that much hesitation these days?
Well, I would say mostly for the clients that I've had, they're in a situation where they have to sell or buy real estate at the moment, either for job transfer or something like that. So they kind of don't have a choice at the moment. People who do have a choice, I have seen them being apprehensive with 7.5, 7.8 interest rates. So yeah, I have seen apprehension, but real estate's going to continue to move.
So in the grand scheme of things, though, really, if you think about it, from 30, 20 years, 7%, it's not really that bad if you look at it that way.
Yeah, I've heard that story, but it was
you're not buying it.
No, I mean, it was 7% on 150,000. Now we're talking about 8% on 400, 500,000, and that's a big difference.
Well, give us an idea. One of the things as far as social media goes, right? There's so many changes in real estate. What are some of the things that you're doing with New Trust Real Estate to make sure that your social media presence is there? What seems to be more effective? What do you do there?
So we tried doing it on our own, trying to structure videos and stuff like that, but we just ended up looking really goofy. So we we had a professional come in and help us and kind of guide us. So we just had a nice recording day where we provide a whole bunch of different material for our clients. We want to be a resource, so we want to give information and learn or teach. I'm sorry. So putting together informational videos that we're going to start pushing out to our audience and the public, and really just to inform.
So then you're using the videos for when you have listings, or also to promote the team, or
so in general,
advertise?
Just to promote the team and advertise ourselves. But we will do individual videos marketing the individual house.
Well, one of the great things, as you're saying there, whether it's and people are out there as far as using real estate, you want to use the right professional, right? Someone that's knowledgeable like you and Carter and so forth. So the theme is use a professional, and that happens and comes into play when you're talking about making videos, because that's a whole nother art form right there.
Absolutely. Like, just because your son or daughters use social media or Facebook doesn't mean they're a professional at it. There's a whole back end to it that I get lost. I mean, there's just so much to it. So, yes, sir, that's right.
Well, as far as the platforms, of course, Facebook, YouTube, and we put clips on the show on both of those. But as a real estate company or brokerage, what are the things that you find the most beneficial in terms of the platforms? Do you use YouTube and Facebook, or what are the ones that work the best?
I think, people don't like to sit around and watch long videos unless they're really intentionally doing so. So quick media like Instagram, Facebook, just quick clips, something short but with meaning and educational. I think so. Instagram and Facebook, I think, are the quickest. Either stories or.
There's no doubt. We hear about it all the time. The attention span these days of people, you have to capture them quickly, right?
Absolutely.
Well, as far as when you look ahead for the company, New Trust Real Estate, as you go forth and you're saying, okay, here we are finishing out the year, what are some of the things that are on deck that you're planning with New Trust?
So we're currently trying to plan we usually around Thanksgiving we do a pie giveaway or a cake giveaway to our clients. We're planning something like that, client events. We're also looking to recruit experienced agents to come on board. We're ready to start growing. We've got everything in place. We laid the foundation, and so we're ready to start teaching and taking some agents on.
So we'll give your number here in a little bit, but all they have to do is reach out and find out. You can give them all the information. So again, as far as, let's tell people your area geographically, you're basically Memorial, you go west, Katy.
Yes,
you ever
sir.
go to Sugar Land? What's happening
Yeah,
over
I
there?
go. I mean, I'm sure every real estate agent will say they'll go wherever they get a call, right? But
They say that all the time.
Yeah. But it just so happens I really work my sphere, my friends and family, and so that all happens to kind of just go to the west side of town.
Well, I just heard as I was talking to Carter, and he was mentioning Memorial, I was thinking about a friend of mine was living in Sugar Land. They're just moving to Memorial right now.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that whole I-10 area, north and south, is pretty active, it seems like.
It's nice to be along I-10. It's a straight shot to and from the city. I mean, it's just there's so much development, and it's nice to be along the main highway.
There is no question I-10 has unique advantages for so many reasons. The HOV lane, access to 99.
Yep.
Hey, you want to drive out to Laguna Beach? Go for it. I don't know how many, 20 hours or something, but you can do that off
Correct.
of I-10.
You can.
There's
You
no
sure can.
question. We're talking with Chris Stelly. He's with New Trust Real Estate, working alongside with Jay Carter Breed. Chris, of all the things you could be doing, why did you choose real estate?
Interesting story. I kind of dabbled in many different things. I used to work on oil rigs, offshore, oil and gas industry, chemical plants. And then it kind of just came, I was always gone from home. I just wanted to find something where I could be home a lot more. And then I kind of looked to my family, right? My grandmother bought real estate back in the old days and was very successful. I had other people to look to that bought real estate and were very successful as well, buying and holding. So I figured maybe that's what I need to get into. Maybe that'll allow me to stay home and be around a lot more. So I gave it a shot. Kind of was 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Did it part-time for a few years until it took a certain event to happen in my life that I made the jump to full commission, and been doing it ever since. And luckily, it's kept me off a rig.
If you're listening from outside of the Houston area, especially north, Midwest, and so forth, that's one of the things I remember when I first got here many decades ago, is that people worked on rigs. Now, you don't, if you, I was in Washington, D.C. area before here, so we didn't hear about rigs, people working on the rigs. It wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
But you hear about it here. Give us a quick idea of what's that like. When you go to work on a rig, you'd actually leave the mainland and then go on a rig in the middle of the ocean?
Yes, sir, yeah. So,
what's that like?
It's a really tough life. I mean, I was young and motivated by money, so I could say that's why it kept me doing it, but it was very, very tough. Being gone 3 weeks and then off 1 week, and when you're 22, 23, they say, hey, we'll pay you double time on your week off. So you end up working a full month and you stay out there, a month and a half. So it was very tough. If you get called out, you go to the helipad, and they fly you out to the rig, and you're stuck there for 2 weeks.
At least you got a helicopter ride. See,
you got a helicopter
I would
ride.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm up for the
if
ride.
we're lucky, we get a helicopter ride. There was one time we
Swim.
drove to Cameron, Louisiana, and then we took a boat 8 hours, and when I came out to start working, we were in Galveston.
So,
yeah.
once again, I just want to embellish this because I'm having a hard time doing this myself. Yeah. You would leave the mainland and go in the middle on a platform.
Yes, sir.
How big is this platform? Is it like a half a mile
diameter
or a half a mile square?
No.
Not even.
I mean, I can't even.
You're in tight quarters.
It's tight. Like, I don't even watch sports anymore because I never could offshore, so I don't really care what happens with sports teams. Yeah.
You're on this. How many other people are on the platform? About?
Probably 25 to 30.
It's a little close.
Yeah. Oh, it's very close.
I'm thinking about that land in Huntsville.
And we have bunk beds.
Yeah, I'm thinking about 100 acres.
That's right.
Ain't going to happen there.
There's no bunk beds there.
It's almost like going to the International Space Station for your, 90 days.
Yeah,
or
that's a
whatever.
good way to put it, actually. Just with a lot more mud. drilling mud.
At least you see the ocean.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, we're talking with Chris Stelly, New Trust Real Estate. Chris, how can people reach you?
Sure. 832-785-9465. And you can email me at chris@newtrustrE.com.
The number again is
832-785-9465.
real estate's a real picnic after the oil rig up there.
Oh, I love it.
Thanks for being with us, Chris Stelly. Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title would not be possible without our partner, Stewart Insurance. With a focus in real estate and a special focus on real estate brokers, Stewart Insurance creates insurance plans to address the risks facing our industry today. They invest a significant amount of time helping real estate broker owners offset and manage their risks. Here he is once again with Stewart Insurance, John Bramlett. John, welcome to the show.
Always a pleasure, Bill.
Every show's a pleasure, right?
Every show's a pleasure.
That's
yes.
That's why these conversations are so awesome, and that's why maybe that people await the insurance segment every week, week after week.
Well, it was just nice. One of the beauties of the show that we really don't talk much about is, but we do get to see, we make new friends and get to see old friends.
You're reading my
so
mind.
That was really nice. I've had the good pleasure of knowing Carter for a few years, so it was nice to reconnect.
You're exactly right. And then, of course, Andy's now on board in the friendship.
Andy's now our new friend, yes.
And not to mention, people, if they tune into the YouTube video, he brought half of his family here, too.
Yes, I think Huntsville is here today.
So
yes.
we are making friends right and left. I love it.
Yes.
Well, that brings us to the subject of insurance. All these people in this room need insurance, and here you are, John.
Well, they do. We've had a couple of real-life examples that we've come across recently that I wanted to share. As you know, Bill, we teach a class called Real Estate Liability, Reduce Your Risks and Protect Your License, and I've taught that for Kurt and his team, and I've taught it for Shelley and her team and their guests. But we talk about the risks that are out there, what they are, what those exposures are from a monetary perspective, what you can do to minimize the risk, and then how you can offset that exposure. So we teach that class quite a bit, but we've had a couple things come across recently that are real life examples. There was a realtor that found, a member of his staff found a photograph of the skyline of Houston and really liked it, and they used it as the kind of the design element on their LinkedIn page. Slight edit to it, drop their logo on top of it, LinkedIn page. So they've recently been sued for using a copyrighted photograph without permission, and it was an honest mistake. Somebody found it online and said, "Hey, this is a great photograph. Represents Houston fantastic. Would be lovely for our LinkedIn page," but didn't do the homework to determine that that was a risk. And the scary thing is, it appears that the law firm that's filed the suit might be something that they do kind of on a regular basis, is look for those types of opportunities. So now we're working with them to determine, do they have coverage that would help with offset, some of those concerns. The other is there was a small, and this one is scary because many times we'll have clients that'll say, I don't need a whole lot of business coverage, maybe beyond errors and omissions, because we're a small company, or it's just a few of us, or we're very careful. This is a one-person shop, independent title agent, and 4 transactions within a relatively short period of time, over $1 million were forwarded to fraudulent accounts. They're in deep snow as an organization. So it's not just Boeing that recently had some ransomware issues. It's also the smaller firms that we deal with. So it's, as Chris and Andy and Carter talked about today, about the importance of working with professionals to help you make the right decisions. It's also important to think about, truly what do I need to do to cover myself in case an accident's going to happen, or in case, one of those risks come about, because it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when.
Well, going back to your first example, it makes me think of the person that took a photograph and said, oh, I guess I could use this. That could happen as people make podcasts and YouTube videos. If you may say, oh, that's my favorite song, and then you put it on there,
Absolutely.
and the next thing you know, you got Mick Jagger filing a lawsuit, and nobody wants that.
No, I mean, music, you could find a great quote that might not be public domain. You reference something thinking that it was funny or a unique way to say it, and somebody takes it the wrong way, and now you've got a libel or a slander suit.
Yeah, and the last I checked in court, saying I didn't know is not a good defense.
Yeah, I don't remember a lot from business law in high school, but I do remember that ignorance of the law is not a defense. And the other thing that's a challenge is if we are a realtor, real estate professional, or broker, and we are in court, the court is going to want us to prove that we are diligent in how we communicate, we are diligent in the process and procedures that we have, and that we execute those and follow those processes and procedures on a regular basis.
That sounds fascinating. As always, it is a cautionary tone as we go forth with the insurance segments, just to remind people that you just got to be careful out there, especially if you're doing a lot of transactions, and even whether you are a large brokerage or just, like you're saying, just a smaller shop.
Absolutely. I mean, sometimes it's easier access for the fraudsters to tackle somebody that's smaller than maybe somebody that's larger that would have some broader protections or coverages. Because I mean, all risk is the probability of something bad happening. So we all know that something bad is going to happen, and so what can you do to minimize that probability, to lessen the chance of something bad happening? And then the exposure is what's that monetary damage because of that risk. So if you can do some things to offset that monetary damage through insurance, then at least you've got a decision to make. So you can make that decision about how much risk do I want to take on as an individual or as a company versus how much risk you'd like to offset on an insurance company. And in our world, that's properly insured. So regardless of whether it's the most robust coverage or very conservative coverage, if you understand what you are and are not covered for, and you're comfortable with that for whatever reason, then in our mind, you're properly insured. Being
informed is so important.
Absolutely. No, and again, it goes back to, the guests that we had on today, that if somebody's looking to buy or sell property, buy or sell land, we have guests today that can walk them through that process. If they need to close, we've got Shelley and her team and Kurt and his team that can help us close. And if you're looking to make sure that you are properly insured, whether it's for your home, wind, auto, flood, car, or from a business perspective, your errors and omissions, cyber liability, general liability, workers' compensation, we can help with that at Stewart Insurance.
Well, also, as we talked about land today, just a note, that is, some people that never purchased land before may think, and I'm thinking of someone in particular, may think, well, if I buy land, I'm not going to need insurance on my land since it's not a home.
No, that's a great point. So another one of our classes is Property Insurance Essentials for Real Estate Professionals. And we look at residential property 6 different ways. And then so it provides the realtors, it provides the brokers some nuggets that they can provide guidance to their clients. So, what type of insurance would I need if it's my primary residence that I own? What's the type of insurance that I would need if I own the property but I'm leasing it out? If I'm the person that's leasing the property, what would I consider? If that property is going to be vacant for a period of time, is there a different type of coverage that needs to be considered? If it is vacant land, is there a different type of coverage that needs to be considered? Or if I'm doing construction or reconstruction on the property, is there a different type of coverage that I need to consider? So we walk through all those. So you're exactly right. How the property is used, how the land is used, has a significant impact on the coverage that needs to be considered.
Once again, we need to be informed, John.
Absolutely, and that's why shows like Real Estate Matters are so fantastic, is it provides our listeners some really, really great information about all things real estate.
That's right. What's happening next week?
I think there might be the 500th show.
Ooh, can you imagine 500 shows? We've had 500 shows from the beginning until next week.
Yeah, and other than a knucklehead pinch hitting from me from time to time, you've handled all of them.
Exactly. Well, we do our best, and I think of all the guests that we've had. Next week we're going to have a nice discussion with some people that haven't been on the show before, also a little bit of a review and also a look ahead. So I'm very excited about that and very thankful that we're on the air this many years and progressed and evolved as we have with great partners like you, Stewart Insurance and Tom Carpentier leading in charge, Larry Warren, Max Van Natter, all these great people. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be a great show. I like the fact that we're looking a bit at the past and how we got here.
Just this much.
And then also, where we are now and then what we can, what we think we can see going forward. I think it's going to be a really fun and interesting conversation. Well, if you do want to be properly insured, if you want to make sure that you've got the proper coverage for your home, your auto, your wind, wind coverage, flood coverage. If you've got vacation property, investment property, we can help you that. You can reach us at 866-798-2827. If you're a real estate broker, realtor, property management firm, lender, or independent title or attorney agent, we can help you with your business coverage, your errors and omissions, cyber liability, general liability, business owners plans, workers' compensation. You can also reach us at 866-798-2827.
John, I have a feeling there's someone in Tampa, Florida, looking for an insurance option for their waterfront property. What number should they call?
They should call 866-798-2827. And did I tell you we have a new Huntsville hotline?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, 866-798-2827.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, John Bramlett.
Always a pleasure, Bill.
Once again, stay close to your Stewart Title Business Development Officer. That's right, especially if you're right here in Houston, Texas, or even beyond, as we are an international company. Now we have Shelly Keller. She's right here. Shelly, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Bill. It's good to see you again.
Well, regularly, you've been on a few times. We get emails all the time. They say, Shelly is just super awesome. That's what I say, too.
They're always asking about me. I love that.
Absolutely. So let's tell people, to remind them, what offices you cover.
I cover the Woodlands in Willis, Walker County.
Yeah, there's a lot of land up there, I hear.
There is. And thankfully, I was able to talk Mr. Andy Flack into making the very long trip down south to inform us all of his brokerage and his team, who are absolutely fabulous to work with, and just, share with us the kind of information and real estate that they sell for everyone in East Texas.
There's no doubt about it. One of the things I was thinking about, every now and then as we have guests on the show, every once in a while someone will say, oh, well, there's an inventory shortage. Well,
there's not a shortage of land if you go to Andy.
There you go. That's what I'm saying. Maybe we just ought to recalibrate our thinking and say, let's just think bigger. Let's go land.
Exactly. He'll be able to provide you, like he said, with small, 10-acre tracts, or you can get as large as in the 700s.
Sounds awesome. So, Shelly, what else should we know about what you're doing there in Willis and the Woodlands?
Really, especially for Willis, Walker County, we're just trying to get everybody to know that we do have a Willis office. We've been there for about 2 years. I have a fabulous team, Marsha and Jackie. They're absolutely wonderful. Trisha, she's in the Woodlands, and she's actually our new president. So shout out to Trisha. So really, it's just getting our name out there. Everybody does know that we exist. Stewart Title's been around for over 130 years. However, I think a lot of people kind of tend to forget that they need to rely on people who have been around that long and are kind of finding themselves going to more of these smaller boutique title companies. And unfortunately, they end up really disappointed when they venture out to somebody new.
There are cases that are out there right now, as you mentioned, that very thing. Stewart Title, that's right. This is last month was our birthday month, 130 years. We're going to be around for a while. Shelly, let's tell people how they can reach you.
You can reach me at 346-831-4312. 346-831-4312.
See, the emails are going to be coming in. They're going to be happy you were back. Thank you, Shelly. Speaking of being back, here he is, Jay Carter Breed with New Trust Real Estate. Well, Mr. Carter, here we are. Once again, what else should people know?
Call us for your real estate needs in the West Houston Memorial area.
Well, that's right. It seems to be there's so many good, when we think about the investments in real estate, or as I do here in Houston, there's some really good investments. I think people should reach out to real estate professionals that have a lot of experience like you.
Absolutely. And speaking of that, we do investment real estate. I own a lot of investment real estate, and so I get friends and former clients, and they say, "Hey, I want own an investment property, and we take care of that too.
Well, you're making me think that here we are, and this is a real thing. There are people right now, the interest rates on one hand are tough or maybe a hindrance if you want to get a loan on a home. The flip side, if you're a cash buyer, it's a good time to buy, but yet the higher interest rates are providing that cash buyer with, let's just take a $500,000 lump. They're earning pretty good interest, maybe 5.37 by money just sitting there. What would you tell someone that said, if they said, look, I got $500,000, I like the money I'm making every month, but maybe I should have that in real estate?
Absolutely. Real estate's always growing. And you know the old adage about, when's the best time to plant a tree? 30 years ago. When's the second best time? Today. It's the same thing for real estate. When's the best time to buy real estate? 30 years ago. When's the second best? Now. It's always going up.
Sounds good to me. Now, make sure you come and see us again before too long, Carter.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's been too long.
Before I get gray hair, I got to come back.
Before you get gray hair, Carter, let's tell people how they can reach Jay Carter Breed.
Yeah, call me or email me. Phone number 713-826-4884. Email is carter@newtrutre.com. 713-826-4884.
Thank you so much, and great to see you again.
Great to see you. Glad I know you.
So, here he is, Andy Flack with Homeland Properties. Andy, welcome back.
Thank you, Bill.
Have you had fun yet today?
I'm having a blast.
Well, it's exciting. I'm just going crazy about thinking about all that land up there and the nuances and fun you must have having this specialty knowledge and work history behind you for 40 years up there.
Yes, sir.
It's mind-blowing.
It is.
You're doing it every day.
It is. Yep.
Will you come back and see us again next year?
Yes, sir.
Well, let's tell people before we close the show, Andy, what else you want them to know?
I just think I want to emphasize that Homeland Properties is a very experienced and proven company with over almost 1.5 million acres in sales in our career, and we're also accredited land consultants, so we've gone the extra mile to get that accreditation to better serve our clients. And give us a call if you've got any interest in land in Texas.
How many acres again?
Almost 1.5 million.
And you're not done yet.
No, sir.
And by the end of 23, that'll be a higher number. And next year yet, right?
Correct.
Also, you brought some friends with you here today. Let's tell people the names of the people that you brought here on board with the show.
Well, I brought Arlie Scott. She's our office manager. I brought Karen Stout. She's one of our associate brokers. And I bought Michelle Arnold. She's our business development director.
That's a whole team.
It is. And we've got 17 agents and 6 full-time support staff for those people.
Land. And homes, too.
Yes, sir.
Andy, what's the number again?
936-295-2500.
Chris Stelly is back.
Give us a call if you're looking for an experienced agent and or if you are an experienced agent and looking for a good place to land, give us a call, 713-482-2222.
And that's right. This time of year, people are planning ahead. Sometimes they're making changes. All sorts of things are going on.
Yeah, absolutely. People are reconsidering where they are and looking to make a change. So if you have any questions, happy to just talk and bounce ideas.
You know, I've never been on an oil rig, but I think I have a pretty good picture that I'm not going to go there. I'm going to stay right here where I'm at.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Sounds good to me. Thank you, Chris. And the number again is?
713-482-2222.
Thank you all for listening to Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. I am your host, Bill Knapik, together with John Bramlett, all of us at Stewart Title and Stewart Insurance. We appreciate you working with us. We appreciate you listening to the show right here every week. Oh, yeah, next week is show number 500. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to be fun. We hope you join us on that real estate radio adventure. And, of course, you can go to stewart.com/radio. That's stewart.com/radio to see and hear any and all the shows. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week. Thank you, everybody.